Hello guys and welcome for another Eternum video. Apart from the fire staff, which by now you know it's my favorite weapon, I have few other favorites which I really enjoy playing for both PvE and PvP. Those are the rapier, the spear and in some cases the great axe and the blunderbuss. Of course, it's quite obvious that almost all of them, with the exception of the spear, can be used for a mage build, so probably that's the reason why. However, today we will actually speak about the only non-mage weapon here, and this would be the spear. I've played it for almost all seasons of New World, and in my honest opinion, this weapon is a great tool in the correct hands. Numerous players proven that over the time, and even now when the spear is not the most meta pick that you can go for, many people can prove you wrong. As I want to share with you my point of view for the build before going further to the gear and the weapons, let me quickly summarize it and explain what is my main goal with this combination on the battlefield. The spear is the melee weapon with the longest reach of all, and on top of that has a relatively quick basic attack chain combo that only consists of 2 light hits. Not only that it has the quickest light attack chain, but also the tracking for your opponents is quite good. All that gives a huge potential for the spear to be a good chasing weapon, and it can exceed even further with the abilities in hand, which are providing strong rend, weaken, knockdown and heavy slows on your targets. And since I've mentioned all those advantages, I think that now is the perfect time to show you the skill tree that I'm using for this setup. On the left side I prefer to go with Cyclone and the first passive for the ability. This will provide me with huge damage burst, as the ability has not only 165% weapon damage in 3 meters AoE, but it will also do strike damage, to which most of the players currently don't stack any resistance. Additionally, I will be able to apply 30% slow to everyone who got hit by the Cyclone, and of course the most important remark is that I will be able to get back 25 stamina per hit for a total of 2 stacks, which technically means 50 stamina. The Cyclone also comes with grit, so you will be able to avoid any staggers, and if you use the weapon perk for it, which you should definitely do, you will also recover 37% of weapon damage for up to 3 stacks for a total of 111%. The next core ability in your kit should be the sweep, but here as you can see I didn't invest further than the 1 point necessary to unlock it. The reason for that is the bad tracking of the ability lately and also the low amounts of damage which the final passive will give you. In the same time frame you can perform a basic attack and a cyclone, which will definitely grant you with more damage. For the remaining passives on the left side of the skill tree, I prefer to use the ones that you see on your screen, as their main focus would be on stamina management and recovery. From the right side skill tree, you cannot really pick and choose too much, and the reason for that are the necessary points that you need to invest in order to unlock the ultimate exploited weakness. As you will need 10 points in total, having almost all the passives and the 3 points in perforate will be your best option. I choose to skip the passive exposed wounds, as I don't run any bleed with my spear, but if you feel like this is a must-have passive for your setup, feel free to change it with something else. The perforate as an ability is quite well known, and on top of the nice 30% rend and weaken, the tracking and animation cancel in combination with your basic attacks would be really powerful and pressuring towards your enemies. With all the abilities and details in mind, you can already tell that your spear play would be really good at chasing and also quite dangerous for your opponents in one-to-one trades. Now let's take a quick look on the blunderbuss side, as this will be our secondary weapon for the setup. The blunderbuss can be used in many variations and builds, not only due to the double attribute scaling, but also due to the nice package of utility that provides to your character. In this scenario, we are aiming exactly at the piece of utility, and we will be running with the artifact Pestilence. As you may know by now, this artifact applies a poison effect on all hits from both of your weapons, and this also reduces the healing effects by 5% for incoming and 2.5% for outgoing heals. Additionally, the poison can stack up to 3 times, so the total value of that will be 15% incoming and 7.5% outgoing heals. In terms of numbers, those anti-heal stacks are not so big, but it would still have an impact on your chase. However, to boost your pressure and potentially to secure your kills, the perk of the Pestilence also provide a bit of plague, and that's exactly the plague crits. They will reduce the incoming healings by 27% on your targets and the outgoing healing by 14%. Okay, so now we know that just by having the Blunderbuss, we can have a nice boost of anti-heal over the opponents, but is there something more about it? Well, of course there is. Looking at the skill tree, we can see immediately that on the left side there is an amazing pressuring ability called Netshot. With it, you can apply 50% slow, which will decay over 7 seconds, and additionally, using the perk for it, will reduce the stamina recovery of your opponent by 42%. From the right side, you also have two amazing spells that can provide some extra damage, rend and movement speed in the face of grenades and the blast shot. Of course, we cannot forget the ultimate passive as well, which will reduce the cooldowns of the first ability that you use by 50%, and this effect can occur every 30 seconds. As you can see just by looking at the skill tree of both weapons, the main purpose and goal of the build would be to target people and to chase them down until they're dead, while using all the tools necessary for slow, stagger and of course pure damage. Now, when the idea is a bit clearer for everyone, let's go over the perks for all the armor and jewelry pieces so we can see what could be the perfect fit. The first thing always are the artifacts, as all other pieces should be built around them in order to complement their powers. In this case, the two artifacts will be attuned leather pants and Ankh. The pants will provide us with some extra attribute points, which can boost both our weapons, while the Ankh will help us to receive increased healing effects from all sources. For last perk on the pants, I suggest you to take Shirking Heals, and in general this perk should be a part of all your armor pieces. To complete the equip load and to remain in medium, you want to have a light headpiece with Enchanted Ward, Shirking Heals and Mortal Lifesteal, a heavy chest with Enchanted Ward, Shirking Heals and Vital Synergy, gloves with Enchanted Ward, Shirking Heals and Leeching Cyclone, the artifact pants which we already mentioned, and for boots you want to get yourself the named ones from the Worm Raid with Freedom, Keen Speed and Shirking Heals as last perk. With all those perks available, you will have an insane life regeneration and chase potential which can keep you in battle for long fights. Looking at the jewelry pieces, as I already mentioned, our amulet will be the Ankh, and for last perk I prefer to go with Slash Protection. The main reason is the big amount of slash damage in the current meta with all the Sword and Shield, Hatchet, Great Axe and Greatsword players. Of course, if you feel confident enough, you can replace the Slash Protection to Shirking Empower, as your Empower in general will be a bit lower. For a ring, you want to get your hands on Hearty, Healing Breeze and Thrust damage. This way you can secure even higher sustain from the breeze, and of course you want to get that 8% flat empower on your thrust damage. For the earring, my personal choice is Nimble, Refreshing Toast and Fortifying Toast, but if you are a fan of another combination, feel free to take whatever suits you best. Okay, we have two problems solved and we have just two more to go. The first one will be the weapons with the Hearthrune of choice, and the second will be the attribute split. As we already spoke about Pestilence at the start, you should know that only one perk can be added to it. In this case, as we will use it only for utility, I suggest you to use Netshot on it. Remember that using the Blunderbuss would be only to apply a hit or two at best, just so you can trigger the Plague Crits effect alongside your Keen Speed effect from the boots. For those who are not aware, each pallet of the Blunderbuss shot counts as a separate hit, which means that each of the pallet can crit on its own. This is the exact reason why you want to utilize the weapon as a secondary in combination with the named boots from the worm with the Keen Speed. When it comes to the spear, I don't have a cheap solution for you, as the one that will give you the best results cannot be found anywhere else except from crafting. The three best perks for damage would be Sundering Stacks, alternating enchantment and penetrating backstab. For the gem in your weapon, I leave the choice to you, but my personal one will be Runglast Emerald for additional damage to targets below 50% HP. The Hearthrune for the build is Tom Form, as you will definitely need some survivability if things don't go your way. As you don't have any escape tool in your kit, it won't hurt to secure yourself a little bit of extra sustain. And going over to the last topic in today's build, we have to take a look at the attributes points. Since we are using the attuned leather pants, you will notice that some extra points will pop out. This is great as we can utilize some bonuses like the 25 intelligence for additional damage on all critical hits, or the 25 focus for additional cooldowns if they are needed. I don't really like the 25 focus as I think you don't need that extra cooldown, but my split goes with 200 constitution, 350 dexterity, 25 intelligence, and whatever is left I slot it into strength. With this kind of attribute split, you will have a high HP pool and armor values paired up with a lot of damage for your spear as well. If you really feel like risking it even further, maybe dropping down to 150 con for additional 50 points in strength can be an option, but I really suggest you to avoid that unless you have a healer. And with that guys, I think we are done with today's build about the spear and blunderbuss in medium equip load. I hope that you will enjoy your games with that setup, as I personally had a blast both on and off stream. Now it is also the time to remind you that subscribing to the channel is free, and at the same time it helps me a lot to grow. So thank you to all of you who already did that. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.